thanks for stopping by. I'd like to preface this video by saying it is not a knitting tutorial, but it means to have something playing in the background while you work on your own project. If you're like me and really enjoy having something on while you work, sometimes the content you like is very visually engaging and you're several hours in and haven't gotten nearly as far along in your project as you would have liked to. So that's where I come in. If you're new here, welcome, and if you're returning, welcome back. This is not my normal setup. Monday's video I did explain what's going on, so if you want to take a peek at Monday's video, please do. Everything as far as why this is the way it is there. But do comment below if you prefer this setup or if you like the old way, or if it doesn't matter. You just want to hear my lovely voice. That's fine too. I might switch it up, but right now it's just going to be like this. As you saw on Monday as well, and by the title, we are continuing with my uncle's sock. He is not a tall guy. His feet aren't super big, so this is more like a men's 8 to 10 size, give or take, maybe 8 to 9. He's like I think he's like a men's 9 or 9.5. He's not even a 10. Not that that's like a bad thing or not, but he's just a short guy. Short little guy. And so he has little guy feet. But I'm glad that I can do this in bulky because it's going so fast. This is paint box yarn. This is bulky weight, 100% acrylic. And I am knitting these with size 8 circulars on a 9-inch cord. And so I'm just knitting around. I have to make this 8 inches long before I can start decreasing the toe. And I have the other one here with me too. This is the finished one. I just need to get it off the needles and weave in this top part, run this string through and call it a day and tuck in my extra long tail that I had because Paws and Pearls does not know how to estimate how long her tail needs to be for a long tail cast on, and it's either too short, it's too long. Thankfully, I have enough yarn to spare, so heaven forbid it was like super expensive, only had one little bit left, needed to get 2 socks out of it, and was just going to be in a world of hurt if I was wasting it like that, but thankfully not too bad. So earlier, or at least on Monday, for Monday's video anyway, this is the same day. This is Sunday afternoon. It's currently a little bit after 2:45 p.m. It's dark outside. It's windy. I have blackout curtains in my room, so I have this little sliver of a side window on the wall that I opened the blinds to, but it's still really cloudy out, so I'm not even getting all that much natural light in here, so I have my lamp on just to illuminate things a little bit. And yeah, that's how it's going right now. I am in my bed. I am in my jammies still, and I have my robe on because it's chilly, and I'm underneath all of the blankets, so I'm feeling pretty good. But on Monday I mentioned how we have restrictions now in my state. We always had restrictions, but we've like pushed them back a little more. We're not quite like stage 2 again, but honestly I think we need to be back at stage 2, maybe even stage 1, just because people don't know how to act. And yeah, my aunt had asked me for some yarn. So I think I have the picture still. I took it, I think, while I was texting her, so I had to like download it or something. But here is a picture of the acrylic yarn that I have in my collection. And she is actually working on a project with her granddaughter, who I knit a sock for. That was the first, my cousin's daughter's sock, or my little girl cousin, or I forget what I called that video series, but kind of like the purple and blue and green and white, like peppery looking sock is the one that I was knitting for her. And so since she's young, she's still into toys, thank goodness. I would be so sad if she grew out of Barbies and dolls and stuff at this point, just because it just means she's still a kid. She's not into makeup yet or all that junk. So, she is working with my aunt on like repurposing dolls, like redoing them, like taking all of that gaudy makeup off of them, shrinking the heads, making them look more like little girls, and adding like new hair to stuff to them. So she was watching some videos on YouTube and found like other people who do these doll redesigns. And so she's like, oh, I can. She made her like a real doll before, like a little baby doll. And so she had like these felting needles and stuff. She's like, I can use acrylic yarn and iron it a little bit, make it a little straight, and use that as the new hair. And so she's like, oh, why don't I ask Paws and Pearls if she has some acrylic yarn that she can offload onto me. She's thinking I have like scraps of yarn. But no, I have whole things like this, just like acrylic yarn that I haven't. Some I haven't used, some I have, but most of it, it's like stuff that I had from projects where I still had a ton left, or stuff that I had bought like this to make my shipping, my free shipping order, and just picked up some cute colors that I liked, and thought I'll use them for a project later. I'm so glad I did, because this bulky stuff is helping me whip through these socks so fast. And my uncle will just have these as like house socks because they're so thick. He could probably use them in like his boots if he were doing like fishing or something and needed like a thick sock with his boot. But for the most part, he can wear these around the house. And he has slippers that he usually wears in the house too, so these can go in his slippers. Like literally like slides, like slip-on sandal things. He doesn't like have house shoes, so he has like slippers. And yeah, I'm like, oh yeah, I totally have yarn. So I showed her the picture, and I'm like, what do you want? So she picked out like the orange. She called it purple, but it was like the dark lilac or violet color. And then she said violet, which she meant like the lilac color that's all braided up. Like the dusty lilac color that's braided. That was like a Pantone and Caron yarn collab. And I swear it's not bulky weight. I believe I was complaining about that early on in my videos because I bought it at Michael's and it was on sale, and I think it was on sale because it's more like a heavy worsted than it is bulky, because this is bulky. And that stuff is like a little teensy bit thinner, but I'm going to use it anyway. But she wanted that one. She wanted the dark purple that I had used with the baby blanket that I made, and the orange. And the orange is actually a blend with mohair, and I used that actually on a scarf that I made for my brother's fiance. The first Christmas that I was making stuff, I was able to do a double knit scarf for my cousin's daughter, a double knit scarf for her son. I made a scarf for my brother's fiance, and I made my brother a hat that was knit flat and then woven up. Oh, that was hard. That's when I realized I did not like weaving, or I didn't like weaving, I didn't like seaming. And then I made the mistake of doing the dog sweaters the year after that also needed seaming. And now I'm still working on my Jolie Mimi cardigan that also has seaming. And I'm like, no more. I bought all that stuff around the same time, so I was like, nope, not anymore. No more seaming. Forget it. Just seamless like this. Knit in the round, sew it up at the end. No more than that. But yeah, so she was like, yeah, send me the stuff. So I'm like, cool, cool. And then I'm also like, hey, while I send you this yarn, how about I send you that dress that you gave me for Hello Kitty that doesn't fit over her big head? And she's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, well, you remember that dress you gave me? And she kind of remembers. It's been so long. And I'm like, well, it doesn't fit over her head. And why don't I send it to you so you can like cut down the top part and add some more buttons to it because you have a sewing machine and you know what you're doing and I don't. So how's about that? She's like, yeah, that's fine. So I was going to do that yesterday, send her all of the things, the yarn that she'd like, the shirt, dress, and call it good. But uh, earlier in the week, I was actually at work. Well, I already knew about the restrictions, but when I was at work, because we were practicing some stuff and I had to be there in person, I got an email from like the big boss, like the president boss of the company, and they're like, yeah, we're going to go back to essential workers only here because the state has pushed back our restrictions. So you shouldn't be here if you don't need to be. So then I asked my direct supervisor, yo, can we like close up now because of the order? And she's like, yeah, sure. That makes sense. I'll tell the rest of the crew. So my subordinate, I guess, the person that I supervise was there, and I came out and like, hey, we just got this really important email, and I asked our boss what to do about it, and she said we can leave now. So I don't have to go in person anymore, thank goodness, for now anyway. I'm waiting to find out if, because of the spike, if my company will continue to have us all work remotely, or if we still plan on having business as usual soon. Since that's why I was there, we were kind of like feeling things out, like kind of like soft, open kind of thing to see kind of like what our traffic base would look like, but it wasn't like official. It was just like, hey, if you come by and you see that we're here, then let's try some of these procedures that we have to practice and make sure we're doing what we need to do. And that was like a little bit nerve-wracking. So because of the non-essentialness of going to the post office, I'm going to wait. I'm going to let my aunt know I'm waiting because I still have socks to send to her for holiday, which is going fairly fast. Like if I can do my uncle's sock by this end of today and cast on hers, which I'm going to be using that purple, I think, and then maybe start my brother's soon, then that'll be everybody, because I'm still working on my cousin's son, but I think I can get his done pretty soon. His is like, his actually needs to be 8 inches long as well, but I'm using, it's not sock weight, but it's not DK. It's like heavy, it's like sport. It's kind of like sport weight, for his socks. So, he can get his done a little bit faster as well. I'm still using the size 2 needles, but because it's a little bit thicker than sock weight, it goes a little teeny bit faster. So I think I can get everybody's done. If I just do worsted or bulky for the rest of the folks. So it's totally not all the pretty yarn that I bought recently for this project. You see, I'm like, sometimes it's hard because I'm like so indecisive sometimes. And you think, I don't know, definitely not the norm for people like me who are a little bit type A, but also a little bit of like type B because we're perfectionists and we want everything to go right, so we don't do it because we're scared of failure. And then when we fail, we just kind of were like, whatever, it can't be helped. Um, it's a very contradictory way of thinking, but it's also like why I have so much yarn, I think, because I keep buying stuff thinking I'm going to use it for this project, and then I totally have a change of heart, at least right now with the socks. Socks was the mission originally, but now I'm running out of time, and now I'm like, okay, I'm just going to make everybody giant socks, because then I can finish them fast, and they still have a handmade gift, which was my goal. I really didn't want to have anyone with something bought if I made other people's stuff, because I felt like that wasn't fair, and that's kind of what happened last year. Well, no, last year I was successful, but it was very much down to the wire, because everybody had varying degrees of complex projects, and I thought if I did socks this year that I'd keep it all very simple. But I didn't start like terribly late, but I ran into lots of problems with the first set of socks I made for my brother's fiance, because I was not paying as much attention to what I was doing as I should have, and messed up twice. So then I had to make a fourth sock essentially to compensate for the other two that I had messed up. And if you want to watch that, feel free, but it was a mess. Oh my gosh, I was so stressed and so sad, because it was really pretty yarn, and I just like blew it on those two jacked up socks that I made. And I still have enough. I could probably make one more sock out of the yarn that I had left over, but I'm kind of thinking I might just want to rip the other two out and start over, but I don't know. I mean, I could wear them myself and just never wear anything higher than to the top of my foot, so no one would actually see what my socks look like, because one would be like a 1x1 rib with I think like a 20-inch cuff, and then the other would be like an ankle sock, because I didn't turn the heel enough times. Oh man, it was so long ago when I did them. Just having flashbacks of how mad I was when I realized I messed them up. But yeah, not going to the post office anytime soon. But my aunt actually is working on another project in her house, so I'm hoping that my little cousin can wait long enough for me to go to the post office in one big go with everything. Instead, because my aunt was even like, oh, don't, it's no rush, but I don't know if she meant like, it's no rush, like I don't need it this weekend, but I also don't want it in January, kind of a thing, so I don't know. So that's going on. But yes, socks are the project of the year, it seems. So let me know what's new with you guys. It's been a couple weeks. I feel like it's been longer than that, but it's also not that long because of how short the weeks have been. It's just been a year altogether. So let me know how you're doing. And yes, all kinds of things. Let's see. I'm really excited though that these are going so fast. I think I don't even want to like try to predict what 2021's holiday gifts are going to look like, but I know that I'm going to want to start them even earlier than I started this year, just because I can't predict what the heck's going to happen. And if I keep saying, oh yeah, June, like late summer is a great time to start projects, and then it turns out other things keep happening, then I'm gonna run into the wire again, which is exactly what happened last year. And I was like swearing up and down that I wouldn't let it happen again this year, but now that's 2 times that I haven't been able to finish things in a manner where I felt like I wasn't rushing. But that's where we are. I guess it wouldn't be normal paws and pearls if I wasn't having a little bit of a struggle bus situation. But this is actually going pretty well. It's just getting them done. They're not hard now that I'm actually paying attention, using a very simple formula, being mindful of what I'm doing, stopping when I need to stop, measuring often. All of that's been going very well with these. But I think I'll start to focus more on like sport and DK weights because I can get through them so much faster. And I already have next year's socks pretty much lined up for at least my brother's fiance, because I got her the Hufflepuff sock from the Ravenswood Fiber Company when they did their limited run of the Potter House or Hogwarts House sock dye colorways. And so I got her Hufflepuff, I got one of my good friends Hufflepuff, and then I got myself the Ravenclaw one because it happened to be blue. And when I did my little test at the Wizardly Place website, it said I was Ravenclaw. I was like, okay, that's fine. Don't really know what that meant until I took the test, but when I saw that colorway, I was like, hey, I'm down. So, yeah. Cool. Alright, well, this video, I want to cut it short enough so that I don't have to splice it like I did for Mondays with my Instacart / home food delivery rant. But we can see we're getting further than we were. We were probably like about here or so last video, and now we're here. So maybe by Friday's video will be there, and then that'll be very close. Look at that. Like, if we look at, can you guys see, maybe, hopefully, end of the heel there, and we are almost to the point where we can start our decreases. Hey, I'm so excited. I mean, bulky weight is like chef's kiss for speed. I can't believe I just didn't think about that until I was like halfway through my cousin's son sock. I'm like, I have bulky weight yarn. Why am I not using this yarn? Because that's when I brought it out to take the pictures for my aunt. And I'm like, I can use this for a sock. I haven't touched this color. I haven't touched this yarn that I bought. I can use that for a project. Why am I sitting on that when I have this time frame that I need to have done? And it's soft. It's not like super scratchy. Like it feels good like it is right now. And then, when you knit it up, it kind of denses up a little bit. But it's washable. It keeps your feet covered. My uncle will be able to put these in his slippers just fine. Like his little slides that he wears around the house. And he still has a sock gift that was made by his niece. So I think I'm just gonna knock everything else out with the worsted that I have. I have a lot of worsted I can use. I have this color that I'm going to use for my uncle and for my partner's dad. So I have another ball that hasn't been touched yet. And the purple for like my partner's mom. She loves purple. And maybe even do the salmon color or the red for my aunt. I don't know. I'm deciding if doing purple for her or the red. But the purple will go fast because it is a bulky weight. The red, it's worsted, so it'll take a little longer. But I'm thinking red for my brother because the pink stuff is for his future wife. And so then they have like their colorway set together. Anyway, that's what I'm verbalizing this plan I have, but 3-4 videos from now, we'll see if it's gonna stay the same. We'll see. But yeah, that's what I have for you guys. I'll catch you on Friday. Bye.